So China may claim it's cracking down on deadly fentanyl trade, right? But don't be fooled, because just this May, a Chinese spokesperson said fentanyl is the U.S.'s problem, not China's. A new story in The Atlantic revealing it's all for show and has become a source of political leverage for the Chinese Communist Party, with no plans on giving it up. My next guest wrote a book about the 7 things you can't say about China. He's the chairman of the Senate Intelligence Committee and knows this subject as well as anyone in the country. Senator Tom Cotton, great to see you. Your thoughts about this revelation in The Atlantic that the Chinese are not cracking down on the precursors to fentanyl?
Well, Brian, as you mentioned, I wrote 7 things you can't say about China. One of those things is that China is coming for our kids, partly through this reverse opium war they're waging with the importation of fentanyl and fentanyl precursors into North America. They don't view this as something that's their responsibility or a moral catastrophe on their part. They view it as a point of leverage. If President Trump and administration officials have to raise fentanyl importation when they sit down with their Chinese counterparts, that's one more item on the list before they get to things like China stealing our intellectual property or China excluding our products like Arkansas rice. So they view it as a point of political leverage, as you say. They also view it as a kind of payback for the opium wars. Almost 200 years ago, China was humiliated in wars with Great Britain and other Western nations about the importation of opium. So somehow Chinese communists think it's appropriate to kill American teenagers for what European imperialists did almost 200 years ago. So I agree that China has no interest in trying to stop the flow of fentanyl into America. That's one reason why we have to act on our own. You know, the big, beautiful bill we just passed includes a lot more money for Customs and Border Patrol. It's going to help secure our border. It's going to help increase detection technology at ports of entry. There's a lot more money for the Coast Guard as well. So those measures, along with President Trump's negotiations, hopefully will continue to see a decline in fentanyl deaths that we've seen in recent years.
Yeah, because we have to do it at the border because they're not being responsible in their country. There was a headline that I thought in Friday's edition of the Wall Street Journal I wanted to get your take on, because I'm not sure President Tom Cotton would be doing this. It says Trump is shifting on China to deal-making mode. Are you okay with that?
Well, I think we'll judge what happens if there is, in fact, a deal. I will observe that in many occasions, not just over the last 6 months, but in President Trump's first term as well, people were skeptical of the deals that he was going to make, and it turned out to be pretty good. Look at the deal we got this week with Japan, an important trading partner. So there's a lot of issues that we want to address with China. I know President Trump has been dedicated really throughout his adult life, even before he got into politics, to getting better trade deals with countries like China, also improving American security. And I think all those things are going to be top of mind should he end up sitting down with Xi Jinping, the Chinese dictator, later this year.
Yeah, I think it's going to be October. They're going to Stockholm on Monday. Bottom line is they have leverage over us on one thing, rare earth, especially in magnets. There's no place right now for us to get it, but we're doing some great encouraging things when it comes to mining in our country so we can have actually sovereignty, because we need the rare earth more than ever. I want to talk about something else that has something to do with China, and we're talking about drones and Russia. You know, there's one company in particular that pledged will never, ever contribute to the war in Russia. Well, 50% of this Chinese company's technology is in the Russian drones, which, by the way, is a copyright from Iran. What about this link between Russia and China? We know they have this relationship, but I'm not too sure the Chinese were part of that invasion. But why is it in China's interest for this war to continue?
Well, China and Russia both, like Iran and North Korea, view the United States as the main obstacle to their ambitions to carve up spheres of influence in Asia, or for China, really, to replace America as the world superpower. So, of course, they're going to conspire together any chance they have. That includes the transfer of dual-use technology from China to Russia to wage its war of unprovoked aggression against Ukraine. The legislation I've introduced would try to stop Chinese dominance in the international drone market. Right now, American regulations need to be updated badly. Drones are treated identically to missiles. Obviously, missile technology is very tightly controlled because it has one purpose and one purpose only: military capabilities, offensive strike capabilities. Drones should be treated, in my opinion, like aircraft, not just military aircraft, but civilian airliners like from Boeing, or business jets like Dassault Falcon that are finished in Little Rock. Once we update these outdated regulations, it'll create a huge incentive for American drone makers and investors into the drone industry here in America to expand capacity, not just for our use, but for the use of our friends, NATO, Ukraine, Israel, the Middle East, and partners in the Western Pacific. So I hope that we can update these outdated regulations very promptly.
Senator Tom Cotton, thanks so much. Truly appreciate it.
Thank you, Brian.
All right.